This is Columbia College Cafe, and today we're talking about how the pandemic has affected different artists. You can follow us on Instagram at Columbia_Cafe. And we are here with Luna. What's your last name?
Prisazhnuk. It's Ukrainian.
Yeah.
So it's hard to pronounce.
Where are you from in Ukraine?
I'm from Zhytomyr. It's even more difficult.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So what made you want to come here to
School?
Yeah.
So major, yeah. The first, my goal was to finish my education here.
Yeah. And what are you majoring in?
Architecture.
Uh-huh.
So, but I started with landscaping and furniture design, and the architecture it was more like broad field where I wanted to.
So like you started with the furniture stuff.
Yeah. So you start with the small object, then you feel like you wanna design more and to see how the objects gonna feel. Your object will be in the environment, and then how the person interacts with the stuff, and that's how I came to the architecture.
How what brought you into what inspired you to get into that world of architecture?
Good question.
Yeah. Were there any buildings around you? I mean, I've never seen Ukrainian architecture, but is there anything like that around?
You see, I never thought that I'll be studying architecture, because I started with some designing, like small objects. It's actually how you start thinking about the stuff that you can put together when you're a kid. You know, you start playing with the stuff, and you feel like, okay, I wanna make a house, or I wanna paint something. So it just starts with simple stuff. Then when I went to study landscaping, you see the stuff that around you, and you start traveling, and you see different shapes, and you see people interacting with these objects, and this is the fun stuff. So you want to actually participate in this, and see how the environment works, how the circulation works in those places, and be the guide in this position. So this is really interesting. But also after architecture, you can do whatever you want. You can be a graphic designer, you can be a furniture designer, landscaper. So it is a lot of different fields that you can explore.
Interesting. So how did the architecture lead into the paintings?
So they are, I think it's art. It's a mother of architecture. So you need to know how to sketch, how to express your ideas through the art. So you're drawing. So if I have an idea and I want to explain it to you, I'm not gonna just tell about this. You won't understand. You really need to see a picture. You need to see a drawing, plan, perspective, so you can really visualize this. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, and it makes sense that you have to have a really good sketch of what you're gonna do before.
Also, if you're making the models, so you see, you start building some stuff, and then you see this is two-dimensional, but then you want to see it how actually details work. So you start using different materials and start putting light inside, and maybe a person. So maybe if it's client, they will imagine how this basics really works.
I know a lot of artists don't really do good with math and those subjects. So how is that with architecture? Was that easier for you? Is that a harder section of it?
Actually, I always thought that it's hard. And I remember my dad, he told me I go to start architecture. So yes. Do you know it's hard? I was yes. You see, it's really depend of the teacher. I had a really great professors in my school, and they just they are with you, so they're not gonna leave you by yourself. Okay, you don't know.
They're there to help you.
You are not quitting. You actually start learning, studying. You put in a lot of hard work. So we have I think 3 semesters of physics, and maybe it sounds crazy, but then if constantly you're doing some work, that's not that hard. So, but I'm not considering myself as a math person or anything. But you see, you can actually see all of this math equations when you actually paint. You can apply all of this. So it's kind of a game. Or when you play chess, you can see that you know, any way you move, like there is a meaning of this, and you need to.
There's a purpose in it all.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
this is a fun.
When did you start like monetizing your paintings? I feel like that's a pretty big step for an artist to be like ready to sell my stuff, you know?
Okay, here's the thing. When I was in university, I went with my friend to the volunteer program in Germany, and I didn't have a camera with me. All what I was doing is sketching. So I was painting like different cathedrals and buildings, different alleys, and we found this street like full of artists, and I started showing my sketches to the people around. So the guy, he bought my work for like 15 euros. So for us students, like we were really poor.
Yeah.
So that meant a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like so fascinated with this, like
that someone's even willing to give you money
yeah,
for
it was
in
like
general.
A small like
yeah.
piece, you know, and he like when someone's tell you like you're really good at it, this will change.
Especially like a random person. Yeah.
So I went back home and I told my professor what happened. He didn't believe me.
Yeah.
He said like, I know like your level and your skills level, so you're not good enough to really work. And since that time, I stopped doing that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just become a designer. Like I'm not gonna do art anymore.
Yeah.
And when I moved to Chicago, I just saw all of this architecture, and that just blows my mind.
Yeah.
So I went outside and I started sketching again and doing like small pieces first, and then I just saw how people react on my work, and you just see this connection. Like you just feel that your work, like they
feel it with it. Yeah.
So I started just painting again, and I of course it's what do you want to do, it's what do you love, you know. Sometimes it's really hard in life to find this purpose and to find this moment when you will feel like, okay, they need me. And yeah, since that time, it was like 4 years ago, I started painting constantly every day, and I apply this to my architecture work, and that's why I do plein air, and most of my themes is architecture.
Yeah.
It's buildings, structure, it's bridges, different like very massive work.
Yeah.
But at the same time, of course, I can like paint like portraits and landscapes.
That's cool.
Still lifes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's how everything starts. So I start painting again.
Yeah, that's nice. And so how did the pandemic really affect your work? I mean, being stuck at home, I feel like you already painted a lot. It probably just made you paint more, maybe. But what's up with that?
I don't know. Like I didn't feel like this on me because, okay, when the pandemic starts, I was at home like everyone, and in the same time I was in school. So I would just, instead of painting outside, I was doing this at home. But then in some moment, like you feel this, that you need people. Like you need this communication.
Yeah.
And I found this space in Chicago, the Zobi Art Center, where actually artists have a chance to work and maybe in a small community talk to each other. So I ran the studio there, and I started meeting people.
Yeah.
So it was
during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was a year ago, and so people do like different stuff, and it's so inspirational. Every evening, they meeting for I don't know, some small talks, or they bring in some food, or they play music. So it's more like performances. So that helped a lot.
Yeah.
So, but then I could share my work with them.
Yeah.
And get some feedback.
Yeah.
So that was
so
nice.
you could improve your work while you're during the pandemic.
Yeah, because
with
they've
other
all
artists.
like been in that field for a long time, and I felt like I really need this. Someone who will guide me.
Yeah.
In the right direction.
Yeah.
And when you're in a group all together, it's so much easier to go through this than by yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty unique pandemic experience. I feel like most people were just shut in all the time.
But I'm sure that affect everyone in a different way.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Your personality. Because I used to paint by myself all the time. Like I don't need like a group of people to support me. No, I just focus in on the object. But then
it's a benefit.
You just need the feedback. This is the only thing.
Yeah, for sure. Getting the communication and Just other people's point of view is nice. Yeah.
Yes. Especially, if it's artists, of course, it's much better.
Yeah. So that studio, is it? Are you still doing that, or is it?
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. So what's up with that? So what do you do?
So I don't spend like that much time right now because it's a midterm and finals. So most of my time I'm spending in the university art studio. But what I do, we have this class called urbanism. So every time, like twice a week, I'm making this like watercolors. So basically, if you have a theme,
wow.
This is the
students?
old post office.
Oh yeah.
So in the Gensler studio, they just renovate the space. So from the outside, it looks like this Art Deco style, but when you go inside, they renovated the whole place.
Oh.
And there is a green rooftop on the top.
Uh-huh.
So I'm making this post in Instagram, and I'm kind of like telling about the space and what's happening.
Yeah.
So it's every week is different, like story and new sketches. So
yeah, that's nice. Cool. Yeah, you get something new to work on every week.
Yeah, this actually this is Milwaukee Art Museum. If you ever been there?
No, I haven't.
So
that's
this
really
by
pretty.
Architect Calatrava.
Uh-huh.
Santiago Calatrava is a Spanish architect, and he's very famous for his like this moving structure. Another building, it's a subway in New York. You probably saw it. That RIP.
Yeah.
Subway. So he's very famous for his structure. So sometimes I try like to make this like short trip around Chicago and. Just go and make
just paint buildings that like you find inspirational. Yeah, that's really cool.
I hope like one day you'll be able like to paint all great architecture in the world. So
that's really cool. Yeah, just travel around and painting. Yeah, that's awesome. And they're really good. And this is, how long did this over here take you? That's huge.
So of course like we've always been here and you know this scene, but my intention is to show actually the feelings. Can you help me? What do you actually feel when you are being in this place? It's always about the mood and this, you know, it's a Brooklyn Bridge, but then I wanted to capture this moody feelings and kind of like raining and something what you really will bring with you when you leave this place. Like you always like you see the shape in your head, but then you wanna capture and memorize that feelings.
Yeah.
But how it feels like to be here and stand. What do you wanna remember? Like you're not focusing on the background, but you really remember this perspective.
Yeah, the stuff that stands out in it. Yeah.
So,
how long does something like this take you?
It's every work is different. Of course, it depends on the scale, but. If I'm outside and doing plain air, it could take 5 to 8 hours if I'll spend the whole day painting.
Wow.
Or sometimes it could take a month or years.
Years. Wow.
I have a couple of works like I'm not.
That have taken you've taken years?
Yeah.
Dang. Is it just you sit on it and you have like...
I just cannot finish it, so I don't feel it like...
Yeah. And then once you like get back on it and you're ready to hit it again, it just feels right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, yeah, what really inspired you during the pandemic? Like, what made you keep going with all this?
I think I'm painting architecture, so it was very interesting to see a city in a different mood.
Yeah.
When you go outside.
Especially here, I mean, there's always people out. When the pandemic first hit, it was just quiet. There was nobody out. Streets were 100% empty. It was bizarre.
If you ever like walk on the LaSalle Street during the afternoon, like you know how it's street.
Yeah.
It's so noisy, like it's a very busy center of Chicago, but right now you can go there in the afternoon, it's so empty.
Yeah.
You can just stand on the middle of the street and make this painting with the size like this.
Dang.
So that's gonna be easy.
Yeah, that's kind of nice too.
Before that, so I remember like people, even like policemen, they stop you. They always like ask you what are you doing there because you're not allowed to be there, or even on a subway. Right now it's easier, so I could say that.
So it was kind of nice.
Beneficial for me.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people don't have that, but that's nice that it kind of opened it up for you.
Artists, they really struggle with that because they really need the connection.
Yeah, with
So
other people.
If you're like alone by yourself at home, you just cannot paint. So I know a lot of people who really struggle with this. But yeah, I think my theme is it's easier for me because I'm not looking for inspirational. It just around me.
Yeah.
It's outside. I just need to go outside.
You paint your inspirations. Yeah. I feel like that's different than a lot of different of art because
I agree.
You just you don't have to like create something. It's already created and you're like appreciating it. Yeah. That's interesting. That's cool. I like that. How do you think do you think your art improved during the pandemic? Do you think like there was any major change that like really a difference during there? Did you see it besides like joining starting at the art studio? Was there like a big change in your work? Do you feel like?
Always when you change your media is different. So I never done watercolors because it's kind of hard. In the time you paint one, you're doing the sketch, you cannot actually erase it.
Yeah.
With the oil, you can always like repaint and change something like over the time. With the watercolor, no, especially if you're using the ink.
Soaks in.
So I think this was the one thing that I started doing it. Also, if you focus, it's like so quiet and you feel like this inner voice inside yourself. So everyone is kind of like subtle. No one's like rushing anywhere. I feel like more calming. That's why I think that gave me like more focus.
For sure.
It's,
when you're when you're like really focused on one thing, everything else kind of just goes silence and it's pretty relaxing. So I can see that. Yeah. And thank you for joining us. This has been Luna, and when we come back, I'll be talking with Santi. What's your Instagram so everybody can follow you?
It's Prysazhnuk Art.
You want to spell that?
Yeah, it's Prysazhnuk.art.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. All right. And we'll be right back. Welcome back to Columbia Cafe. We're drinking some good coffee. We really appreciate Luna's time. Very interesting talk I had with her, and we're visited with Santi now, Alex Santiago. How's your day going?
Pretty good, dude. How's yours?
Pretty good, yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. So where are you from?
I'm from Plainfield, Illinois.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like 45 minutes south from Chicago.
Right outside of the city?
Yes, sir.
All right. And what made you come over here? What made you move over here?
When I was a kid, I used to come into the city all the time, like every weekend. My mom's from the city.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, really? Yeah. She's from the city. She's from like Cicero area. And then she moved to Plainfield. And then,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So she's been around this like all of her life?
Not all of her life. Like when she was in high school, she moved to Plainfield. But she missed it a lot. So when she had me and my sister, we used to come up here like all the time.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it was nice having like a city right next to you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Especially growing up.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And so what like have you always just wanted to live in the city and be here?
Pretty much. Once I figured out like what I wanted to do, I always wanted to live in the city. Like I said, coming here all the time. Like it's when you come here, especially when you're a kid, and you just see like the how big it is. It's pretty insane.
I went to New York when I was in 8th grade, and like you go there and you just feel so tiny with all the buildings. Yeah. So I could see being a kid that's even bigger.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, so I always wanted to come out here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And you're going to school for what's your photography? Okay, cool. What made you like? What inspires you to do that?
Inspires me. I think I don't know.
What made you like start doing it?
Start?
Yeah.
So I transferred here. I came from junior college, and I was studying biology. And I remember I was gonna be a physical therapist, and I remember
that's a lot different.
I know. Yeah. I remember I took one semester of biology, and like that was like my major, and I almost failed biology. So I was like, okay, that's not
physical therapy. That's not for me.
That's out of the fucking water. And then I went to business, which because everybody goes to business, and I was like, And during that semester, it was like my second year at college. During that first semester, my mom had this camera. She like bought this camera back when I was in high school because I used to play baseball. So she wanted to take photos of me. She never used the camera.
Yeah.
And I remember one time me and my friends, we went to a Sox game and we like had like a little photo shoot on our phones. And I was like editing them on the train. I'm like, damn, this is kind of fun, bro. Yeah. And then like a couple weeks later, I asked my mom, I was like, can I use that camera? She's like, go ahead. So me and my friend David, we came out here to the city and we just took photos. And ever since then, I was just taking photos on this little point and shoot.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I started posting on Instagram or whatever. And people started like hitting me up to like take their photos, and I was like, I'm taking photos on a point and shoot. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know if I want to do that yet. And then I got my actual camera, and I was still going to school. I got it like second semester, and I was still going to school for business or whatever, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then my mom was like, what about going to school for photography? And I was like, you're stupid. Like, why would you ever think
Bad
of that?
idea.
Because like I'm from Plainfield, Illinois, where you play baseball and you go to Big Ten schools and stuff like that. So the thought of doing something like this,
degree,
literally. So the thought of doing something like that was not in the picture for me at the time. And then I was like, I think I kind of want to do that.
Yeah,
so I looked it up.
Cool.
And
yeah, and then especially since it's out here.
Yeah.
And it's such a good art school too.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you usually like photograph? What do you like photographing the
People.
most? People.
Yeah, portraits.
Is there a reason?
A reason? Not really. I like seeing people like in their like natural state in a sense. So like just when I take photos of people, I don't like to guide them as much. I could let them
just do whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you like taking like more like
candid.
Yeah, candid.
Just people in the moment type of things.
Kind of stuff. Yeah. And then besides that, is it portraits? Is it like a lot of landscapes of like?
Yeah, so like I do some landscapes. I mean, being out here, like you're gonna take some landscapes when you're a photographer.
City, yeah.
I can do like still work too, like brand work, stuff like that. Like,
so yeah. So tell me about some of the brand work you've done.
So I've done my own brand work.
Yeah.
I've done some like little local brands and stuff like that too. So it's pretty much been like local brands. But
What tell me about your brand?
My brand. So I have me and my two other friends. We have our brand's called Atelier Portus. We're working on our second drop right now. We had our first drop last year. We like started in the pandemic actually, which is pretty interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So like, how did the pandemic? Would you say it like brought that about?
In a sense, kind of. We were talking about it like for a long time before that.
Yeah.
And then kind of just being in the house was like, all right,
let's do something. We have to do something.
Yeah, let's make this happen.
Yeah, yeah. So how else did the pandemic affect you, or did you like pour yourself into that during the pandemic?
So as far as photography, in the pandemic, I didn't really do much.
You can't really go outside.
Yeah, I can't really go outside. I like taking photos of people.
Yeah, you can't really do that.
And I'm in Plainfield, Illinois, where like there's train tracks and cornfields.
Yeah.
What am I gonna take photos of?
Yeah.
So I kind of like didn't really take much photos when I was at home, but doing the brand kind of helped me get that creative like outlet.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So you have something to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I also started graphic design over quarantine too.
Oh yeah.
So since I couldn't take photos, I made photos technically.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, yeah. And you've made some graphic design for artists, right?
Yeah. This one, I was working with this one producer. His name's Perp Dog. He's like produced for like a couple of big artists. And I was making cover art for him for a little bit.
That's pretty cool. Months, yeah. And then you've taken, was it the same person that you have taken photos for, portraits of? Because you've taken portraits of another artist too, right?
Yeah, I've taken portraits of like these rappers that actually go to Columbia.
Okay.
But no, I never met that guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like everything was over email.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Do you want to show some of the graphic design ones that you have?
What do we do? Should I like talk about this? I don't know.
Yeah, you can just talk about the ones that you show, or just like scroll through a couple and talk about them.
So I mean, this is one I made for the producer Perp Dog. The song's called Withdrawal. I mean, I don't know. There's that. Let's see. He like wanted like some Mario themed like logos, so I made him some Mario themed logos. There's that one. That was pretty funny. That one's pretty funny too.
What led you into the graphic design?
I don't know. This is something I made for somebody I work with. She's a rapper. I don't know. My ex-girlfriend, she was a graphic designer, and I always wanted to like do it. It always looked cool to me. And I always wanted to learn how to use like Photoshop and Illustrator and all that stuff like that. So I know being in the pandemic kind of like just forced me to like learn how to do everything.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, you want to show some of your portraits too?
So this is my friend eBay right there. I used to take photos of him all the time.
Yeah, he's very photogenic.
Very photogenic. Yeah. It's my friend Sean. This is actually in Plainfield actually.
There's some photo ops in Plainfield.
It's a little bit.
a little bit.
Got a little scenery, I guess. There's Meek Mill right there.
That's a good photo.
Thank you, sir. I wish the hand wasn't in there, but I kind of like it at the same time too. This is actually in Plainfield too.
So how long did it take for you to like establish like? I mean, there's definitely a style, like a visual style to these. How long did it take you to establish that?
I don't know. Maybe probably like
How long have you been photographing?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Like a year and a half, 2 years, two and a half years.
Long, yeah.
I don't know. I kind of got the grasp of it pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
There's this one photographer that I follow a lot. His name's Valandis. I've told you about this guy all the time.
Yeah.
He I don't know, seeing his work, because I love his work. His work is really nice. Seeing his work and seeing what I liked, it kind of helped me pick a style that I wanted to do. For instance, so I not a lot of it, but some of what I do comes from him. So I don't know. Just like I said, seeing what I like in other people's stuff, I take those aspects and I put it in my own work.
Yeah.
And I make it my own in a sense.
Yeah. You just take a little bit from every piece that you like, and it's like a collage of. Yeah.
Right. But back to your question, how long did it take? I really don't know. I just kind of once I started taking photos where I consistently like how they looked every single time. It's I'm just gonna keep doing that.
Whatever makes it look like.
I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm gonna try my best to keep doing exactly that. Yeah.
Looks like it's turning out well because they all definitely. I mean, you definitely. I'll see a picture of yours. I'll be like, okay, yeah, Santi took that. Yeah, that's good. What would you define your photography style being?
My style.
I feel like that's hard with photography.
Yeah. There's not really one word I can describe what I like my photos to look like. Mm-hmm. I like them to look like. I don't know if you notice. I overexpose my photos sometimes.
Yeah.
I like to make the backgrounds and the highlights super dreamy and super glowy.
It kind of feels otherworldly.
Right. Yeah. Kind of like a heavenly kind of
glow.
Object. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's why I used the Black Pro Mist filter. I used that for a really long time because it makes the highlights really hazy. Mm-hmm. So using that helped my work. Establish that style a lot better. Light, airy. I love colors, bright colors. But I also do moody stuff too. A lot of the stuff I've done as far as photography has been work with 4 other people.
Yeah.
I've only done really one personal project, which was the blonde project from last year.
Like a real art project.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that one is honestly totally different from what I do. It's
would you
and
yeah. Would you as a career, would you want to be able to make money off of just that, doing art projects and making art, or would you rather work for people and have, you know what I mean?
So I both really do stuff for myself that I can monetize, and then do stuff for other people too. Just have multiple sources of income, because I don't want to do just photography too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got the graphic design already.
I want to have multiple sources
avenues.
Of things. Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, obviously do stuff for myself, and then because I mean, when you're gonna be doing stuff for other people, that's where the money's gonna come in really. Yeah. So I mean,
I feel like you can make your money doing stuff for other people, and then that will lead into more time being able to put into personal work.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you said you got your start on a point and shoot.
Yeah.
What would you say you really need to get started? It's not a lot to be a photographer.
To be a photographer?
Yeah.
To be a photographer. You're gonna label yourself as a photographer. I mean, I would think you would need a DSLR.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter which one it is. I think a physical, a camera, a body and a lens. I think that's what you're gonna need.
Yeah.
You're not gonna, if you're gonna be a photographer and you're gonna be taking photos on a point and shoot, that's not gonna work out for you too well. But I mean, as far as your DSLR goes, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Yeah. I was taking some of these photos on a Rebel T6, and you wouldn't even be able to tell that I took it on a Rebel T6.
Yeah.
I used a $20 broken lens. You can use literally the cheapest stuff you can find, and you can make great photos with it. I mean, obviously when you get more into photography and you get better cameras the ADDs and the Sonys and stuff like that, those ridiculous cameras, that'll make your work look better. But if you have an eye and you know how to execute it, and you know how to work light and all that stuff, know how to work the camera actually, you can use
that's all you need.
Want to.
Really? Yeah. That's good. What do you use now to shoot?
I use a Canon 77D.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know what that
is. It's an alright camera.
Yeah. What do you feel about cameras on phones are getting pretty good? So there's a lot of people that become a photographer and they just post photos that they took on their phones. Yeah. So how do you feel about that?
I mean, to each their own. I mean, I take photos on my phone all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't put them on my photography page. This is I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, if the cameras are getting insane. You have the pixel. The camera on that thing is insane.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could get away with it if that's what you want to do. Go ahead, do what you want to do.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Isn't that? Yeah, I never would have thought that.
that people are using their
people
phones
using their phones for photography
Yeah.
just because like when we were kids they were just so shitty. They were horrible, and now they're like the best thing on your phone.
Literally,
you're buying a camera with a phone attached to it.
Literally, some of the cameras on phones are better than like actual cameras.
Yeah, it's insane, and they're tiny. Yeah, crazy. What do you think, like some early mistakes you made, or some advice for some people that are starting out in photography?
Some early mistakes. Definitely not knowing the camera before like taking photos.
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, there's like auto and stuff like that on cameras. But I mean, especially here, like if you're in a photography class, they like tell you to shoot manual. So if you like, I would definitely like learn how to like, you know, ISO, aperture, all that good stuff. I would definitely learn that early on, because if you try to do it like when you're already taking photos, it's gonna kind of confuse you a little bit. So I would definitely learn the camera first. I mean, as much as you can. Also take your time when you're taking photos. Even still now, sometimes I just literally just snap as much as I can. But I don't know. I like I would say to like take your time. Think about what you're taking a photo of, even though you have unlimited space on your camera or whatever. Just take your time and like make an actual photo rather than just like snapping like 4 of the same one and be like, that's the best one.
Yeah.
Kind of like hone in and like really focus on like making
maybe like pretending like you're using film, because I feel like it must have been hard back in the day. You know, you get like a couple shots and it's just expensive. Yeah.
The shit is really expensive.
And you've been shooting on film recently too, right?
Kinda, yeah. I have a point and shoot that I use like 35 millimeter on.
Yeah. How's it a lot different? Is it a learning curve?
Not really with a point and shoot, because it's a point and shoot. You're just snapping the picture. The weird thing is not being able to see the picture right away.
Right away, like, and you're just like, process. Well, I'll know in 2 weeks.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah.
You ever think about getting one of those like actual old film cameras with like
the
professional
tag.
old
So sometimes I think later on, once I like master a digital camera, I'll like go on to like the actual like film.
They're crazy. They look complicated. Like they look way more complicated than a normal camera.
And it's crazy. Like you have to have like a light meter sometimes, or some people can just like look at the light and be like, you need this ISO, and this like what?
Yeah, especially because you can't like take photos to be like, okay, this is what it's gonna look like. You gotta know. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't think I could do that. It's a lot more. It's a lot more like thinking that goes on. I feel like when you're taking film, because you have to like know in your head what the picture's gonna look like before you take it. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. How did the pandemic affect your the amount of work you're getting? Because I know you've been paid for portrait work before, but
so as far as photography, I barely did any shoots over the pandemic. So like as far as photography, my work went down, like way down. I was still taking photos for class, but like I don't really count that.
Yeah.
So like the workflow with that went way down. But then I picked up the graphic design and started working with that. So in a sense, and then doing the brand too. So in a sense, like I dropped one thing, not really dropped it, but it kind of stopped. But then like 2 other things picked up.
Yeah.
So like the
you filled in your time. Yeah. How are you feeling now? You enjoying like taking photos now?
Oh yeah.
It's all over.
Yeah.
Or over.
Yeah. Damn near. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's nice to be back and like being with people. I've gone on like a couple of shoots recently, so like it's nice being able to actually be able to like connect with people again. Because that's what I do. I connect with these people.
Yeah, that's cool, and you get opportunities to go and meet whatever. So how do you advertise something like that, like portraits? I don't know.
Just on Instagram. It's really like. It's mainly like you posting like stuff, and then people are like,
I like that. Like you can take photos of me.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's interesting. Yeah, there's not much marketing besides this
really.
Is my stuff.
And it's unfortunate because like everybody's a photographer now.
Yeah.
So like, and that's another thing. Like I don't want, like a lot of these photographers like want to be big on Instagram, and like I don't really want that. I want to take like.
Yeah, I just want to like see Instagram is more of like, okay, I can put my work here, but you're not making it for Instagram. Right. I think it's the best way to go about it.
And that's definitely like right now, if you want to make money, like if you're in my position, if you want to make money, being on Instagram and being active like that is probably going to be your best way to get yourself out there.
Yeah.
But I want to find a different way because that's not the way I want to go.
Yeah. And I assume it was hard to like share anything during the pandemic either.
Yeah.
You were really active.
Like engagement kind of went up, but it's like I can't really do anything with that.
Yeah. Since you can't really capitalize off of that since everyone was inside.
Exactly.
Yeah, that kind of blows. So during the pandemic, like how is it affected people like wanting to get photographed, and then how is it different in the city versus like back home in the hometown?
So
I feel like
I haven't really noticed like much of like a difference of like how people act like after like during the pandemic. I mean, obviously it's like social distancing, like we have our masks on, but it's like kind of like that gray area where it's like, okay, we know we're supposed to social distance, but like we're doing an intimate thing right now, and I'm not gonna be like, okay, you want to look at these photos? You know? So it's like I don't know, you kind of like act like it's normal in a sense.
Yeah.
But for instance, like people in the city rather than like in the suburbs. In the suburbs, I've taken family photos. I've taken like couple photos before. So it's like that
at the courthouse.
Like you're like on the bridge. It's like so it's like kind of that kind of thing, which is not really my thing.
Yeah.
But then out here in the city, you have like people who are like willing to be a little bit more creative with it, which is what I like. So yeah, but I mean, you still get good photos of like families and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's just not what I. Not
and
what
like
I
I'm
do.
assuming that like it's harder to find like a really good spot that's like, wow, this is gonna look really good.
Exactly.
That's like different. This will look different when you're surrounded by trees and cornfields.
And the people like, when you're in the city, you have people that are like dressed nicely, you know, like people that I want to take photos of, rather than like someone in the suburbs. Like, no offense,
got
but
jeans
like,
and a t-shirt on.
Exactly. Yeah. That's I'm trying to be a little bit more.
Come on, babe.
Yeah. Kiss her on the cheek. Yeah.
And I feel like people out here too. Do you think like people act differently when they're being photographed compared from out here and back home?
So I mean, in general, people being photographed, a lot of people don't like to be photographed.
Yeah.
So you're gonna deal if you're gonna deal with that. You're gonna deal with people that are like stiff. Dude. You just gotta know how to just be like talk to them. Yeah, make them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But for people, are they different out here? Not really. Like I said, like anybody, it really just depends on if like their picture taken or not.
Yeah.
I've taken pictures of people in Plainfield and then the same people in Chicago, and they're still the same stiff people. Like So I mean, it just depends on the person.
Okay, interesting. I kind of would assume that people would be more like relaxed. I feel like out here than back home. Because there's like more. It's a very like artistic energy you get out here. You know, I feel like but I guess not. Yeah. Out here, more people are watching you all the time. Yeah. When you're at home, like we could be in this spot and nobody's gonna see us. Yeah. But like when you for instance, like when I remember I was taking senior photos, and the girl, she was like, everyone's looking, and I was like, hey, that's in the city, yeah. I can see that. It's a little different. I feel like it's more nerve-wracking out here in a sense, even though you are in a big city. But there's everybody watching. Like everyone's watching you, but no one's really paying attention. Exactly. But everyone's watching you.
But you're not from here, so you think like everyone's like watching you is gonna remember that, but they're gonna be like they're probably thinking about what they're about to do 5 minutes later. Yeah. Was that different during the pandemic? Not really, actually. We actually got like we got stopped a lot while we were taking photos. Really? Because it was kind of during the pandemic, but there was a lot of people out. They're like, oh, like you guys, like, you know. Interesting. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, people aren't stopped afraid. More. Weird. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, everyone's missing everybody else. Like one time, it was St. Patrick's Day. I went to like the river to take photos of the river or whatever, and someone like came up to me like, "Can you take my picture?" And I was like, I don't remember the last time someone's asked me to take their picture. Like, we're in the pandemic. Just randomly, can you take my picture? Yeah. I remember me and my friends came out here like one random day during the pandemic, and like we wanted to take a picture, and my friend was like, I'm gonna ask this person. I was like, you can't do that. We're in a pandemic. You can't take your picture. Yeah. So when someone asked me to take their picture on their phone, I was like, yeah, sure, I guess so. Little germs. Get some hand sanitizer on. Yeah. Would you rather get like fast, easy money from taking portraits of like families and stuff like that, or would you rather do something more artistically challenging? Artistically challenging, because I'm not really chasing the money in a sense. Yeah. Because I love photography, so I'm gonna do what I love, and I'm not gonna. I always told the people like, if you ever see me like promoting like senior photos and like wedding photos, tell me to stop. Shoot me. Yeah. Tell me to stop. Yeah. I want to do stuff that I like, so artistic stuff like. Stuff that's gonna make you think about what I'm taking a photo of. Yeah, something that you have to like dissect. Yeah. And I want you to see my stuff on a billboard too, and I want you to see it in a frame when you get by it at Walmart or something. Yeah. I feel like that's what most people would want to do. I feel like there's not many happy people that are taking family photos for a living. Hey, maybe there are. Yeah, I know. I could not. I personally could not. No, sir. No, I feel like it's important. That's a good thing to have that like artistic drive to want to just keep on making something that
is more complicated than just, you know,
Because
the
a lot of people,
simplest.
essentially, a lot of people think that's literally just what you do.
Yeah,
is
click.
You you just press a button, but it's no.
You gotta have like a vision for it.
Right.
Yeah. You gotta have like an idea of what's gonna happen. And so, do you have any plans for future projects or anything coming up?
Not any solid inset plans. I do want to make a photo book of like my hometown and like out here too.
Yeah.
I
to
don't
get
know.
like a feel, like is it like a what are those called? Where you get the feel of the town from
Kinda.
just the photos.
A feel of the town from my eyes.
Yeah,
though.
interesting. Yeah, that's a cool idea.
How I've seen the town and like what I do in the town.
Yeah.
And then I also like want to come out here too and do
You
stuff
want to do
like
that for the city?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think that'd be a cool like together too to see back to back to see
Yeah.
like the comparison from them. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Anything else?
No, that's
No,
pretty
that's
much
what
it.
you're
I mean,
planning.
we'll see what happens in the future, but yeah.
Yeah, those ideas really come slowly. They just hit you,
Pretty
and
much.
you're like, okay,
Yeah.
you just run with them.
Yeah.
yeah. All right, well, thank you for joining
Yes, sir.
us for the morning coffee.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What is your Instagram? You can plug it.
Big Santi _. Do you want me to spell it? I don't know.
Nah, go ahead. Sure.
BIGSANTI_. That's yeah.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for joining us. We will have the full interview posted on our YouTube, and the link should be in the description. Have a good day. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, no
It's been
problem.
nice.
Yes, sir.
Yep.